Coming up, is this the king of budget watches? Let's find out.
You know what you're gonna be? Blasted.
Hello and welcome back to Automatic Reviews. I'm Mark. Before we get to today's review of the really very interesting San Martin SN0144, I'd just like to start off by sincerely thanking you guys for your support, particularly since I relaunched this channel and started posting regularly. I'll be honest with you, I usually make a dumb joke encouraging you to subscribe because I don't want to bore you guys with the typical like, comment, subscribe stuff. But the truth is, the more of you that sub, the better I can make the channel. That's my entire goal. So if you like my approach of trying to review the best watches at all price ranges and you enjoy the footage and you want to see more, consider giving me a subscribe. All that being said, Christopher Ward himself told me that if I don't hit 1,000 subs soon, he's going to personally rearrange my face. So he's very intense. So help me out. All right, before I continue, I just want to say that this video was not sponsored, but even if it was, I will always tell you what I really think. Now let's take a look at this watch. The 316L stainless steel case and bracelet feature a beautiful mixture of brushing and polishing. The case is 39 millimeters across and 10.3 millimeters thick. It's 46 millimeters lug to lug, but when factoring in those male end lengths, it's effectively 50 millimeters long. It has a lug width of 20 millimeters. The screw-down case back is deep stamped with a very nice design, and the crown is signed with an intricately etched logo. The movement is a Miyota 9015, which beats away at 28,800 beats per hour and has a power reserve of 42 hours. The watch features BGW X1 lume. Here's a quick lume shot. The dial color is a gorgeous blue with a fume effect toward the edges, and features an interesting textured appearance which replicates the style found in JianZhan pottery. The indices and logo are applied, and the framed color match date window is located at 6 o'clock. The dial text and chapter ring are printed on neatly. Water resistance is 100 meters. The hour and minute hands are polished batons with lume applied, and the seconds hand is a needle shape with a red tip. The crystal is sapphire with AR coating applied. The tapering unique bracelet features a screw-based adjustment system, a really well-made push-button clasp with what appears to be an applied logo, and it features a very sturdy-feeling glide-lock-style micro-adjust mechanism. Here it is on my flat-profile 7-inch wrist. Adjusted for me, it weighs 128 grams. Its current price is around 491 Canadian dollars on AliExpress, which works out to about 336 US dollars. But I actually picked this watch up during the Black Friday sale for about 360 Canadian dollars, which is just about 246 US. So definitely pick it up on sale if possible. The date wheel on certain dates looks less centered than others. I struggle with either placing this in the lows and the mids because the macro lens makes this look really bad, but in reality it's something which would be fairly minor for a lot of people. But one of the reasons I have a love-hate relationship with dates on watches is a lot of companies struggle with this finicky complication. If you take a look at the Tissot Seastar, you can see the printing from the adjacent date peeking through. And this happens on a number of days during the month, and the reason I bring this up is because a lot of people are going to take the opportunity to condemn San Martin and Chinese watches, but it even happens to establish Swiss brands. I think it's a printing design issue and not a mechanical alignment problem because some dates are pretty much perfectly aligned and others less so. Look, this does bother me. I'm picky when it comes to watches, but it's not a deal breaker. I do, however, wish they had designed it better. The bracelet famously doesn't lay flat. When I saw reviews talking about this, I expected it to be a real low for me when I received mine. Then I got to wearing it and realized it had zero impact on the actual user experience except for removing unsightly bracelet gaps and preventing the bracelet from scratching the case back when you set it down. Funny thing is, when I was preparing my review of the SN0129, I took footage comparing it to the Tissot Seastar, the Seastar again. And what did I discover that I had never noticed? The bracelet on the Seastar does the exact same thing. The moral of the story is sometimes reviewers invent problems for us to care about because they're trying their best to give us every detail, but not every eccentricity is an actual problem. I'll classify this as a mid though because it's bound to annoy some people. Movements like this annoy some people because you can feel and hear the rotor. So it's a mid here, but it's not a low because personally I'm not bothered by it and often find it to be a charming feature allowing me to connect more with the watch. But your opinion may be different. This also came up in my SN0129 review. The clasp logo was applied. Not a deal breaker, hell, even my Grand Seiko's clasp has an applied logo, but I'd prefer if it was etched in. For my taste, 39mm is such a sweet spot between sporty and classy. I love it. You'll choose what's best for your wrist and style though, because this watch is also available in both 36 and 42mm sizes. Everyone wins. This watch, like the 0129, stands out as San Martin making their first real strides into original designs. This watch in particular, while reminiscent of a few popular Gata watches, particularly from Grand Seiko, still has a unique identity of its own and is very much the right direction for San Martin as a company, in my opinion. Speaking of originality, San Martin has escaped the gravity of oyster clones, jubilees, and beads of rice, and entered into a whole new arena. This bracelet looks original. Yes, there is an oyster quality, but the raised center link with a polished bevel makes it stand out. I've seen some reviewers praising them for the change, but then also remaining on the fence about the design. Personally, I don't see it. This looks really cool and wears really well. This bracelet is great. This glide lock style clasp is the one, guys. It's hard to express how much I love it. Yes, it functions really well, and that's great, but the real star of the show is the range of adjustment. So many watches have a micro-adjust range that's just a little too small, and you have to make a sacrifice between immediate comfort or future adjustability. The micro-adjust travel here is just so great that no matter what, you will find a perfect fit. This feature is S tier, folks. The finishing on this watch clearly has no clue this watch sells for $300. The brushing, the polishing, the etching, the chamfers, the attention to detail is so high. This watch always catches the light just right and never looks gaudy or overdone. It's gorgeously machined and finished. This watch holds up really well under the macro lens. I've looked at a lot of watches under macro at this point, and I have to say, regardless of price, this watch does really, really well, especially at high magnifications. It's very impressive. You know, with the naked eye, does this really matter? Not necessarily, but I do think it says something about the care that was taken when the watch was made. And I have to say, San Martin is very, very careful when they make their watches, and they do a really good job. The dial isn't quite on a Grand Seiko level, and I've seen some people remark that they were disappointed that it lacked more visible texture in person. Yes, it's true that most of the visual effect is an illusion, but that really works for me. They aren't trying and failing to copy Grand Seiko, they're using a very different approach by mimicking the ancient JianZhan pottery technique. It's beautiful and elegant, and the illusion of depth is part of that. In this blue color in particular, I think this is an absolutely stunning dial. Yes, it's true. I don't love date complications, and this one has some less than ideal alignment. But if you're going to do one, I love the 6 o'clock location to preserve symmetry. Also, color matching the date wheel to the dial is definitely the way to go. The San Martin seal on the case back is exactly what I want to see. I usually love a stamped design, so this new case back was an easy sell for me. But in this case, it also represents San Martin leaning into their brand, and that's great to see. Also, given the dial is mimicking pottery and the case back is mimicking a traditional pottery maker's mark, it's really clever and flows seamlessly stylistically. I've seen people criticize San Martin for pushing the limit of what's acceptable in the price department for Chinese watches. To some, Chinese watch collecting is all about the extreme budget category. If you're a collector that prioritizes volume or someone who's looking for a super budget-friendly one and done, I get it. I do. But I don't agree that San Martin is out of their lane. San Martin is blazing a trail. They aren't satisfied to offer you a great watch for an obscenely good price. Their goal is clearly to offer you an obscenely good watch for far less money than anyone else. Yes, you can buy 3 great AliExpress watches for the price of one San Martin, but in my opinion, when you spend that extra money, what you get in return is worth it. The value for money here is so good that it challenges my perceptions of the industry as a whole, and that's when you know they're really onto something. So, the question was, is this the king of budget watches? And if you haven't already guessed, my opinion is that yes, it arguably is. I think if you're interested in this watch, odds are you won't regret picking one up. Currently, it would be my #1 recommendation for a watch under $500, particularly if you can snag one of the no-date variants which are out there. In fact, if it weren't for the date wheel alignment issues, this watch would have been nearly perfect for the money. That said, I think what's most exciting for me about this watch is what it tells me about San Martin's trajectory. From last year's best value watch with the 0129 to this year's with the 0144, San Martin has shown incredible growth and vision. There are still doubters out there, and I see them in the comments and on the forums, but I wonder how many will remain as San Martin continues to set their sights up the food chain and give Longines and Tudor and yes, even Omega a run for their money. I suspect that at the high end of their range, prices will continue to go up, but rather than reject that, I'm excited because I believe it's all about them one day giving us a $5,000 watch for less than $1,000. That's disruptive and it's bold, and I'm going to get my popcorn and watch it unfold with their latest model on my wrist. I'm a fan. What about you? Are you a fan of San Martin? Do you have a limit to how much you'll spend on a non-heritage brand? What's your favorite watch under $500? I want to hear all about your watch thoughts, guys. I genuinely do. I love talking about this stuff. All right, that's all, folks. Be sure to check the description for any relevant links. And remember, subscribing makes the channel better and everyone wins. Till next time, bye-bye. All that having been said, Christopher Ward himself told me recently that if I don't hit 1,000 subs, that's so stupid. That's so stupid.